Rainbow Six Siege has become one of my latest addictions. Let's go over some of the basics of how you can become a better player. First up, your compass is your most important tool as a new player. There are over a dozen different maps, each complex and filled with their own intricate callouts. It's quite difficult to learn all of them in a reasonable amount of time, so you can't always rely on them at a low level. While it's critically important that you learn as many of them as you can, as quickly as you can, cardinal directions are the next best way to convey ideas to your team quickly and efficiently. For example, let's say that you're watching cameras at the start of a round in order to try and figure out which spawn an attacking team is coming from. Try to figure out which direction the camera is facing, and you can quite easily figure out which general area an enemy team is attacking you from. If your camera faces north, and you can see some enemies run under it then shoot it out, you can be pretty confident in knowing that they're attacking from your relative south. Now, sure, calling out the names of spawns is important if you can manage to do that, but saying, "I saw 3 south side" is a really strong call out to help your team position intelligently at the start of a round, and is usually good enough. Also, right next to your compass, you've got an indicator giving the official name of the room that you're in, as well as what floor you're on. Every room's got a name, and watching that while you're dead is a great time to start learning the names of rooms when you're not caught up in the heat of the moment. Second, as an attacking team, try to be more careful with your drones. It only takes one to find an objective, and once you know where it is, you really don't need your drone in that room anymore at a low level. If your buddy finds the hostage and you're somewhere entirely different on the map, consider getting your drone near an entrance to the building instead of near the objective itself. In doing this, you're giving your team a free camera into a room that they can much more safely breach into then, and thus establish a foothold in. Drones are life in Rainbow Six Siege, and it's imperative that you don't overextend with them and that you try to maximize your lifetime with them as much as you reasonably can. If for some reason you don't think that you can get your drone out of there safely, or you're just in a really weird spot and you don't know what's going on, face your drone into a wall or another piece of cover. Sure, it might not be very useful to you, but it's harder for the enemy team to track. This is because drones have a bright red light shining on their front when they're being used, so hiding it in a dark corner actually makes it easier to spot for the defending team if you're pointing it out into the room. If you turn it the other way though, it's a lot harder to see, and many players even at the platinum level will miss them if they're not careful enough. Hiding drones for later use is a really great way of going about improving your gameplay. Third, for the love of Gaben, stop scanning for enemies on drones and cameras, especially if they're not yours. When you scan an enemy, they are alerted that they have been scanned. So if they're not under pressure at that very instant, they're probably going to try to stop what they're doing and look for the device scanning them and take it out. Usually what it means is a near instant death of your drone or your camera, or even worse, your teammate's drone or camera, which is really a not nice thing to do. If you're playing this game and you really just want to get better, you have to be a team player. Use your microphone to communicate with your team, let them know who you see, what they're doing, and where they're going whenever you possibly can. Also, definitely don't take this as me saying that you should never ever scan for enemies. It's actually a really great tool a lot of the time, you just have to understand when it is and is not okay. As an example of when it's good, let's say you've got a friend in voice chat with you and both of you are together in a given room on any map, doesn't really matter where. There's an enemy in the next room camped out somewhere, but you're not positive where they are. What you can do is toss a drone down for your teammates and identify where the enemy player is located in that room. You can start scanning them like mad, giving them quote-unquote live pings in order to give them a visual indicator of exactly where the threat in that room is. Go nuts here. If they shoot your drone, they're not looking at your friend. If they're looking at your friend, you can tell them where the enemy is hiding and just keep spamming pings on them. Eventually, they're going to feel the immense pressure of the situation that you're putting them in, and they're going to crack. And that's the moment that your friend gets to take them out easy peasy. Once you successfully complete a maneuver like this a couple of times, you'll really start appreciating just how valuable droning somebody out truly is. Or, more generally, how important information is in general in a game like Rainbow Six Siege. Fourth, this game is very powerfully afflicted by something called Peeker's Advantage. Peeker's Advantage is just what it sounds like. Whoever peeks a corner generally tends to have an advantage when they peek it. Because we're playing an online game, and latency is a thing that we have to deal with, it's inevitable in some situations that some players are going to have an advantage over others. In a vacuum, if there's a person standing in a room and you come flying around the corner at full speed, you're going to see that person briefly before they are able to see you in return. As the defending player in this scenario, this can lead to a lot of instant deaths, where you're in a room staring at a door and you die in one shot instantly while in an empty room staring at an empty door. The person that you died to isn't cheating, they just peeked the corner quickly and had a ping advantage over you in that situation. Or to be a little bit more accurate, a lot of times you will see them, but you just cannot humanly react fast enough to actually get a shot off, and even if you do, sometimes you might even see blood, but the shot doesn't actually register because you just lost a ping battle. Basically, the faster that you're moving, the greater that this advantage can be if you try to take advantage of it. There's a reason some popular Twitch streamers refer to the operator Ashe as Demon instead of by her normal name. She is one of the fastest operators in the game with one of the best guns and smallest hitboxes. It's no surprise then that she can peek corners like nobody's business. So how do you defend against this? Why is it that the game isn't completely overrun by 3-speed operators? Well, it kind of is, and a few of them are some of the most contested operators in the game. Ashe, Hibana, and Jaeger come to mind for sure. But there's still plenty of things that you can do to turn this advantage against these players, or at least combat it and keep the playing field nice and level. For my fifth and final tip, make sure you defend corners from the tightest angles that you can reasonably find. Find a really small slit between two walls, pieces of cover, or whatever other geometry that you can find where you can see movement through those few tiny pixels, but they cannot conceivably shoot you back through them from a distance. If they peek a corner fast, you'll see them, but they can't see you. Your goal here isn't always just to shoot them through that slit, your goal is just to see them, get intel on them running in, and then counteract them. All you have to do at this point is hit them back with your own fast peek and light them up before they even know what's happening. You're turning what they think is a power play into a really, really stupid play, and you kill them super easily in most of the situations that you might find yourself in. It's super difficult for the attacking player to deal with and is in turn countered by droning people out, so there's a give and take, a push and pull with all these things that I've talked about today so far. Now, obviously, this isn't the only counterplay and the only thing that you can do, but it's a good starting point for the beginning player. Later on, you can experiment with opening up walls, or just straight up shooting through walls and floors and ceilings to really mix things up, but one step at a time. As a beginner, these 5 lessons are great things to put into practice to improve your gameplay and improve your consistency as a player. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to let me know in the comments section down below. There's plenty more things to learn that will help you improve quickly and be the best teammate that you can possibly be. Be relentless in your practice, watch some Sage streams, and you'll start climbing the ranks in no time at all. I'll see you in the next one, operators. Take care.